a test for me, actually. See, we are going to connect virtually across the internet, and I can't even see your faces when I talk to you. And what do I have to do? I need to convey something to you, make you understand, internalize that, and take action on that. Now, this is the survival kit that is required in today's era of digital communication. So, without much wasting much time, let's get into the project itself, the talk itself. So, what are we talking about? First of all, let me say that for me, I will be at the end of this 1 hour session. We're just starting now. I don't intend to talk for more than 20 minutes. I therefore request you to pitch in and make this a very enriching journey, so that we have 1 hour between us. And so the light in me honors the light in you. All of us know how to communicate. We've been communicating from the time that we've been born. The first cry was our first communication. So from non-verbal to verbal to written, we are masters of communication in our own way because we get what we want. Nevertheless, it is a very complicated situation today that we face in terms of getting the kind of response, in getting people to understand, in getting people to listen to what we are saying, understand and respond to us. And we are flooded by so many messages. On an average, I think every single person gets to hear more than 10,000 messages in a day. You have your phone, you have your television, you have your computer, you have your outdoor media, your retail space. Everything is shouting messages at you. And to cut through the clutter and communicate in a digital age is difficult. Why? Because we are now going to be faced with um, something like generative AI, GPT-4, ChatGPT, and a whole host of applications which can actually communicate better than us. And so there is a very real fear whether they will replace us, get better at communication, become more effective, more efficient. So where are we headed? What is the future? Let's get our head around this. First of all, let's admit that we need to coexist with artificial intelligence. That's here to stay. It's just that we need to understand how much more of a magnitude it is going to bring in the way it's going to impact our lives. As of now, we all use devices and apps to communicate. 25 to 30 years back, I remember when I was a child, we had to we had those telephones. I don't know if all of you were even born at that point of time. If you were born at that point of time, please write in the chat box. Yes, I was there at the time when making a phone call meant taking that instrument and dialing the numbers from 0 to 9, one by one, waiting for the dial tone, getting wrong numbers. There was no such thing as STD or direct call. You had to book a trunk call and then wait forever to talk to somebody. So that was our long distance communication. Interpersonal communication was much easier because people were had less distraction. They had time to focus on each other. So the times of how we communicate, the context in which we used to communicate and way we communicate now has changed radically. So I am waiting for some chat response. How many of you? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So just I find, let me see. I have Nana.
Yes, ma'am. There are many yes.
Yes. Yes.
By
Archana.
letter, by phone, yes.
All right. Okay, great. So you are listening. So we are connected. Great. So now are we ready for avatars? You see in our Facebook today, if you want to wish somebody a happy birthday, there is this pop which comes where you form your avatar and it is showing a candle. It is offering a cake. And now we will be moving into the Star Wars realm where we have 3D holographics, not just the avatars. So imagine, even today, I want to narrate an incident which happened. This came in the news. I don't know if you've read the newspaper where a retired general manager of a central public sector, Coal India, he got this call from a friend in Dubai who said that his wife is in distress. Wife or sister, sorry, his sister was undergoing a surgery in Breach Candy Hospital, Mumbai. Look at the detailing. Okay. So this is late in the night. He gets his call and he says, the friend says, I am at Dubai airport. I am waiting for my flight. I am in a position where I cannot access money right now. Can you transfer 40,000 Indian rupees to me urgently to this particular number because my sister needs it for her surgery? And then while the call is on, it switches to a video call and the gentleman comes online. So the general manager is a little concerned about the kind of scams that happen, the cyber scams which are happening. So he hesitates. But then the friend comes online and requests him in person. So he says yes, and he transfers the money. But somewhere, he had an inkling of a doubt, and then he called up a couple of his other friends. They were all together, and all of them said they got the same call, and they said that this is a hoax. This was a scam. And he called the actual friend who was very much in India, not in Dubai. And so what had happened? He had used something known as a deep fake video, which a generative AI can create for you. So today, how do you know it's me sitting here and talking to you? For all you know, when my voice has been recorded, my face has been recorded, couple of my face has been taken from couple of angles. The deep faking AI can actually create me, Lakshmi, and make me talk the things that person who has access to the AI types it out for you. So that is the situation. Now that's the bad side of it, but look at the good side of it. Instead of people, look at HR. Today, there are so many overheads to employees. I'm talking about bread and butter for a lot of people. Imagine if they don't have to pay salaries and you have these kind of artificially generated avatars who can come in and handle the conversation. We are moving towards automating creation and transmission of information. And there is something known as machine learning, which Are you know what machine learning is? I hope you do. If you don't tell me, please say no. You need more information on that because the chat GPT and the GPT-4, they all learn. They are constantly learning. They are picking up more and more information, synthesizing it, and they're able to. So that's the machine learning that they're capable of. And so therefore, there would be a way of transferring memories, thoughts, knowledge in a digital form. Now, technology definitely is going to shape, it already is shaping social dynamics, and it is going to shape social dynamics even more. And the frightening thing or the exciting thing is that digital telepathy is even a possibility. So where does that leave us? Does it make us irrelevant? I was talking about recruitment, where you have a whole lot of people who do customer care, who take your calls, who talk to you, make you feel welcome, answer your queries. There are people who would handle a whole lot of functions which are related to processing your payments or what have you. All those jobs, if they are going to be replaced by these educated, generative, artificial intelligence fired avatars or apps, then what does it make us? Do you think we are going to become irrelevant? Imagine a situation where now, as of now, that this is a common thing. I don't know if you disagree with me. Please say disagree with me. Please say that, because don't you all get together at the dinner table and all of you keep looking at the telephones, chatting with each other on the phone while you're sitting next to each other? I remember Saif Ali Khan and Karina saying that they were in the same room sitting on the same bed. And the best way to reach Karina was to actually WhatsApp her. So Saif would ask her questions on the phone and she would respond faster than if he's sitting right next to him. So that's the way the devices have got into our life. Do you agree? It's kind of like, so imagine a situation where you like someone, you want to send across a romantic message, and then you go to chat GPT and then you prompt it saying that please write a romantic message for my friend who likes good Hindi music or ghazals, and it creates that message for you and you copy paste it. That message is not you. It makes you irrelevant, but it also is an ingenuine fake message. So let's go to where we still are going to be relevant. What is the differentiator? Can an artificially intelligent person construct a building? Yes or no? Are you guys with me? Because I can't see you. I hope you're listening, all of you. I would love
Yes,
it if you
ma'am.
would.
Yes. There with
Okay,
you.
all right. Okay, so it cannot construct a building, can it? Now you see there's a small group of people. Imagine Nisi is sitting with me, Mr. Sri Kumar is sitting with me, and then a couple of my friends are sitting with me, and we have this discussion on how we should take the session on communication skills, the survival kit in an age forward. And Nisi is very friendly with communications on the phone. She's very comfortable with SMSing, Twitter, and everything else. My friend, on the other hand, hates it because it interferes with all the rich interpersonal discussions which used to happen. But she's not in a position to say that up front because this is a session we're talking about. So what happens is internally there are different beliefs happening, and then when they start talking to each other, if you see the diagram that I've used, people then start interacting, counter interacting, and then there is a web of interactions which happen. Chat GPT and any generative AI at this point of time cannot handle it. So, complicated communication in groups can only be handled by human beings. Like I said, physical labor, when you want to have a proper construction, it has to be done by people. It cannot be done. Maybe it can design the structure for you. It can design the interiors for you. See, I have this lovely background behind me. I'm actually not sitting in this kind of place. This is an app generated backdrop that has been given to me. But it cannot construct that. Critical thinking. If there is a complex situation, what happens with artificial intelligence is that it actually works on the data which is made available to it. So it actually doesn't do any out of the box thinking. It doesn't do analysis and critical thinking. At best, what it can do is that it can summon a cavalcade of facts almost instantly, but it cannot differentiate between fact and fiction. So imagine a situation where there's a whole lot of information available on how to make khichdi, and somewhere somebody says put jaggery, somewhere somebody says put salt in it, somebody says you need to put chicken pieces in the khichdi. Now, the chat GPT cannot differentiate between who has actually been making a mockery of making a khichdi and who's actually come up with a fantastic recipe. So it amalgamates all the information it gets. It cannot really differentiate. So there is that issue of the inability, I would say, at this point of time. It doesn't have the expertise on its own. It cannot learn unless the data is already available. So if we have out of the box thinking, if we are unexpectedly creative, no artificial intelligence can catch up with us. Now, empathy. Empathy is when you're able to resonate with the other person, when you're able to see, for me at this point of time, to resonate with all of you is a little difficult. The only thing I know is that all of you have gathered here to listen to what we are going to discuss, or what I'm sharing with you. And therefore, you must be looking for more effective communication in your lives. But if I were to see you, if you were sitting in front of me, and if I saw, okay, you're a person who feels anxious when you are made to, when I suddenly ask you a question and you have to answer, you suddenly feel anxious, or you suddenly feel, will I be saying the right thing? Will I be saying the wrong thing? Is my language going to be all right? Will I make mistakes? I would I would be able to see it and empathize with you and help you with getting over that and communicating back to me. Now, this empathy, I've just given you one example. This empathy is something that no generative AI can have at this point of time. Though it is being trained to give emotional responses, if there are like if you ask, try it on ChatGPT if you want. I mean, are you familiar with ChatGPT? Yes. I have all these people sitting here. I hope you're listening to me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, their reactions coming up on
Okay.
screen.
See, it can say, a chat GPT can say, I'm sorry. But It cannot feel, that feeling contrite is not something that it understands. So therefore, empathy is something which differentiates us human beings from any generative AI or artificial intelligence that can compete with us. So having said this, now we are talking all of this. I'm talking about being unexpectedly creative, critical thinking, the empathy, the actual construction of something, communication in groups. All of these are differentiators, but it is specifically with regard to communication. Now, this is the main area that we have to now discuss and deliberate upon. What is communication? Can at least a few of you raise your hands? And see, is it okay if a couple of them can raise their hands, and I would like to get some answers from them. Would love to have some eye contact. We have 161 people. Wow, wonderful. Welcome. Pooja. Yes, Pooja. Love to hear from you, Pooja. One more person is raised. Can you please bring them on camera? I know it is very complicated when it is virtual and there are so many of you, they cannot switch on all the cameras. I do understand that the limitation, but let's still see Pooja. Pooja, there is a few more
Pooja,
hands.
can you please unmute yourself?
Pooja, Diksha, Archana, Eileen, Bindu, Gajendra, thank you so much. I am delighted that you are listening in and that you're responding.
Hi everyone. Basically, communication is how you interact or how you express yourself. So, yeah.
All right. So, may I ask you this? Okay, Harpreet, can I would have loved to see you guys. Yeah, I would like to look into your eyes and see if you're actually understanding what I'm saying. I hope you are able to follow that what I'm speaking. Is it too fast? Am I speaking too fast? Okay, great. Nice to see you. Hi. Am I speaking too fast? No. Okay, great.
No.
Wonderful. All right. So do tell me if I'm speaking too fast or if I'm skipping from one point to the other too fast. You want me to dwell a little bit more on something? Please feel free to tell me. Put it on the post in the chat, and definitely Missy or Chinju will tell me, and we will do the needful. All right. I heard what Pooja said. Would anybody else like to say something? Add on to what is communication? Okay, if I say communication is transmission of meaning, would it be correct? Transmission of meaning. I'm oversimplifying it. Okay, thank you, Sri Kumaran. I'm sorry, I'm taking your first names. I'm assuming that all of you are much younger to me. Exchange, yes, talking, listening, it is sharing of information. Yes, communication is something which is in Puja, which is able, communication is trying to send your thoughts to another. Yes, of course. It is exchange. Okay, let me simplify it even more. So if you look at the diagram here, I have two cull heads. There is a sender and then there is a receiver. So for communication to happen, you have to have someone who receives your information. As a baby, when you cry, your mother knows or whoever is your caregiver knows that you're hungry. So the cry at that point of time communicates hunger. They interpret it as hunger, or they interpret it as discomfort, wet nappy rash, stomach ache. They guess what it is, isn't it? So how many of you have pets? Oh, the oxytocin release you get when they wag their tail at you. Don't they look at you with those beady eyes and tell you, oh, I'm feeling so hungry, and you know exactly what they want. Yeah, so communication is a sender and a receiver. And there is a medium. What is the medium? The medium could be language, it could be sign language, it could be a facial expression, which is non-verbal body language, it is thoughts, which is expressed as language, it's ideas, it is information, any kind of data. But therefore, there is a sender and a receiver, and there is this information which is moving from here goes to the receiver. And this is where I say meaning is required, because I know Nisi told me that most of you don't know Malayalam. So if I spoke to you in Malayalam now, would you understand? Half of it would just go zoom over your head. So the medium is there, the content is there, the sender is there, the receiver doesn't get the meaning. So for the receiver to get the meaning, there is a barrier there of language. So I must be able to communicate to you, send you the information so that you're able to understand it, isn't it? So that's why I said transference of meaning. So if you look at the picture there again, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of colorful stuff that you see over there. Now we'll come to that in a little while, but basically what it denotes is that no communication is linear and simple. Even if it's something like, this is joke that people talk about. The wife comes or the girlfriend comes and asks the boyfriend, she wears his dress and comes and tells him, how do I look? And the guy will look up and say, aha, you look nice. Now, that's not the answer she's looking for. She is looking for the answer that you're looking beautiful. Did you lose weight? Your working out is showing. This dress is fitting you better. There could be like some 10 things which she's expecting you to say. But the question is, how do I look? And simple question may have a whole lot of layers of questions in it. So communication is not as simple as it is expressed. So the intent of communication has to be understood. Absolutely. Now that's a good listener. Great, wonderful. So we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do now, you must be tired of listening to me talk continuously. I'm going to play you a couple of television advertisements. Okay. These are celebrated television commercials, which is won awards, which is supposed to be most impactful. And I'm going to take a little bit of time and I'll play 2 of these commercials back to back, and then we'll discuss about it. Okay.
Set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Get your toast out with a fork, do your own electrical work, teach yourself how to fly, eat a 2-week-old unrefrigerated pie. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Invite a psycho killer inside, scratch a drug dealer's brand new ride. Take your helmet off in outer space, use a clothes dryer as a hiding place. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Keep a rattlesnake as a pet, sell both your kidneys on the internet. Eat a tube of super glue. I wonder, what's this red button do? Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dress up like a moose during hunting season, disturb a nest of wasps for no good reason. Stand on the edge of a train station platform, drive around the boom gates at a level crossing, run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly the dumbest ways to die. The dumbest ways to many dumb ways to die. Be safe around trains. A message from Metro.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, what I wanted to tell you was this is an advertisement. Preeti here knew it. She, it's a very celebrated commercial. This actually is a commercial which is supposed to convey to you that you need to be safe around trains, that you should not be careless while you are at a train station. But honestly, tell me, so there's a song, okay? The song basically keeps repeating dumb ways to die. There are so many dumb ways to die. And then you have this toon characters, which is playing out whatever has been, animated over here. It ends with this. Um, how many of you really got the message? It is actually a 3-minute commercial. Now, you can imagine for an advertiser to put a 3-minute commercial on the media, whether it is television or anything, it's a huge amount of expense. How many people would have got it in one shot that this was actually about being safe at railway stations and being practicing safety in a railway station? Would you have got that? Guys, I think yes, Deepika, thank you. Tell me how, now I want to know, this is one interaction point two. We need you, 172 people. Wow, wonderful. So tell me, how many of you got the message from this 3-minute commercial? Okay, even if you did not hear the song, Dumb Ways to Die. So that was a song. Even if you didn't hear it, did you get the message that this was about not me? Yes. Okay. Maybe if I played it back again and again, maybe Gajendra Singh Badoria has raised his hand. Can we please, Pooja, not 100%? Yes. I'm going to try the next commercial, and yeah, I can't see who is the next person who said that, but yes. Yeah, the advertisement had every possible dumb way to die except around trains. Yeah, Preeti. It actually was not the most effective of ads, but it is the most. We'll come to that. Okay, so therefore, you see, communication is not so simple, is it? It was not because no. The audio didn't have anything. It just said there are dumb ways to die. There are so many dumb ways to die. That's all. They just sang that. There was nothing else. There was no description about yeah, there was actually the drug. You can die of drugs. You can give your kidneys in the internet, and there are multiple things that you can do. You can set fire to your hair. Whatever you saw, there was a song about it. There was a line about it, which actually wasn't very clear either. I can play it for you if we have time at the end of the session. I'm going to the next ad.
एक दिन हमारे गांव में किसी ने नहाने का सावर रख दिया। हमारे आधे गांव ने पानी पी लिया और एक शहर वाले का नहाना अभी खत्म ना हुआ।
Now tell me. Okay, 184 people. Wonderful. My friends, tell me, even without the sound, did you get a message? Was it a compelling message? Was it a message which inspired you? Yes. Nanat, Monica, thank you. Yes, it says save water. there's also, I mean, there was this subscript below. I mean, there was a caption which said that half the village actually had their, water, and the person from the city still hadn't finished his shower. So the water we use to shower, one person, the water we use to shower can actually feed an entire village. That's how precious water is. All right. All right. So, what is the difference between the earlier commercial and the second commercial? What you saw, this was 1.5 minutes, and the other one was close to 3 minutes. What actually struck home immediately? Which was more impactful? Yes, Tom. The message was definitely more direct, more impactful. I wish you could have heard the music, because the sound of the water running and the sarangi strains, everything added to the, the vibe, the mood of the commercial. Yes, the first one actually talks about, save your life, don't kill yourself. It's such a scary message that they are trying to tell you. It's about saving your life. The second commercial is saying don't waste water, which actually is more impactful, the second one. So you see, communication is not simple. Both are award-winning commercials. The first one is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it even won awards, Lions at the Cannes. But the cultural context in which you receive your communication, the tunes, the kind of messages which came across, which possibly would be much more relevant to a different kind of an audience in a different kind of a place. So the critical thing is, okay, not only intent. You remember when we were talking about communication, what is communication, the sender, the receiver. I will just take you back to that slide so that you just remember it. When we were talking about this, we spoke about the intent in communication, but it's not just the intent in communication which conveys the meaning. There has to be a context which is shared by the two of you, where you get what the other person is saying. So, like I said, if my language is not understood by you, then it's lost. Similarly, in a television commercial, the kind of idiom that they use, the kind of graphics that they use, the kind of music that they use may be understood only by a particular group of people, and they may understand it. For us, when we saw Rajasthan, the parched land, the shower, somebody drinking water, somebody collecting water in pots. For us, that the visual was powerful enough, because culturally we understand that, and it's a global idiom which everybody gets. So, who you're speaking to is very important. How you fashion your communication has to be done in such a manner that the person who receives it, the person for whom you are sending out this communication, understands it, isn't it? So let's look at what communication. Then let's look at how effectively you can communicate. Now I have here a set of pictures which is about a non-verbal communication, where you use your hands. Now these are universal things. Now if I were to do this, it's a supplication gesture. Anywhere in the world this would be understood. But if I were to point a finger at you, when I'm talking, it could be seen as aggressive, dominating, and underlining. That need not necessarily have a soft interpretation. So the body language, generally, the emotional feel, the intent of what you are feeling when you craft your communication, comes through your body language. Now, you see the last picture, which is 14, number 14, where you have a person who sits with his hands closed like this. Can you see me? I'm sitting. So I say, oh, I'm so happy to welcome all of you, and I'm sitting like this. It doesn't mean that I'm actually happy to welcome all of you. So my body, what am I actually communicating? I'm feeling defensive, I'm feeling anxious, I'm not feeling very comfortable about facing all of you. But whereas if I said, hey, I'm so happy to see all of you, that communicates what I'm trying. The body is in sync with what I am conveying to you. They say it is recorded that 80%. If communication is most effective, there are no barriers. Like, see, today we experienced a massive barrier. Marshall McLuhan said medium is the message, and I couldn't have given you a better example. The audio failed. So, there was a serious barrier in communication. There was a filter which came in because you couldn't hear the audio in both of the commercials. It interfered with the understanding. Nevertheless, something was communicated to you because the body language, the visual part of it still conveyed. In whatever you communicate, even if you are an expert in the way you frame your sentences, you do not use hedging words, you don't do hums and haws and pauses, and you give eye contact and you speak, and you minimize the amount of barrier which is there between your receiver and you still hit 70% when it comes to the impact of your communication. 30% or around 28% still comes from your body language. And the body language is something which is very genuine. You cannot, suppose if I'm unhappy, if I'm really unhappy to see you, I will close my hands like this. And I have to constantly, unclasp, unhug myself. I have to keep telling myself, because I'm a communication person, that I should not convey something wrong. But your face, your eyes, there's a whole lot of science, specialized branches of science which look at micro expressions, oculesics, which is specifically on eye behavior, tone, your vocalics, the tone. For instance, if I were to tell you, get out of here, in a very flirtatious, light-hearted manner, you would not get offended if I said, hey, get out of here. What are you talking about? But if I said, get out of here, the whole meaning changes, isn't it? So the tone is everything. You will find in workspaces or in conversations between mother and daughter, father and mother, sometimes it is a tone which interferes. They may be saying, so what? I love you very much. You think the other person is going to actually be convinced that he or she is loved? Because you don't say, so what, I love you. That's not how you would express it, right? So the vocalics, then the haptics, the way you touch, you hug, the kind of distances that you keep, the kinesics. There's so many different aspects of nonverbal communication, which is a science by itself, which is today used by police to investigate. There is even an app. There is also generative AI for actually looking at you and saying whether you are lying or you're speaking the truth. So our brain already has that app. Our brain senses it. Okay, so culturally we do sense it and we do pick up. So when you want to effectively communicate, the first thing you must keep in mind is be genuine. Secondly, communicate with confidence. I have some points which I've listed on the left side. This is something no GAI, no GPT-4 can do at this point of time. The kind of confidence, I will break down confidence for you a little later. The clarity with which you speak. How crisp are you in your communication? Look at that 1 minute and 30-second ad. It was so concise. Their communication was very crisp. There was not so much of talking. There was not so much of text. There were powerful visuals, which convey to you, irrespective of your not understanding the language, irrespective of your not being able to hear the audio, it conveyed something to you. So there was clarity there and it was concise. Empathy. Again, I mentioned earlier, empathy is something where you feel what the other person is feeling. And for you to have empathy, you have to listen actively. Now, this is something that everybody talks about today. It's one of those trending words, active listening. Tell me if you understand what active listening is. And if you don't mind, please put it in the chat as to what you mean by active listening. I am going to overshoot my time, I think. It's 6:51. No, not many slides more to go. All right. Listening to understand. Yes, who said that? Wonderful. Listening to understand is active listening. All of us normally, yeah. you know, you're listening to me, right? Now you're listening to me. Unfortunately, I can't see any of you. I feel very, very bad about it. I'm sure my session would have been so much more meaningful and effective if I could have seen each one of you and looked you in the eye when I spoke to you. If I could have seen your body language, I could have understood if I'm going too fast, if you're bored, if you are thinking if my saying something has sent you on a trip somewhere else. So many things. Okay, but we have to make do with this. This is more or less like a one-way communication, but yeah, listening to details in the conversation. But usually, you know what happens? We all listen to respond or to react. So you listen, okay, she's going to ask me a question, so I better listen and I have to answer this question. That is different from listening, okay, what is she saying? This lady is trying to share her understanding of communication with us. So she's trying, is she trying with all her sincerity? Is she faking it? Is she actually walking the talk? And how is she feeling? And then understanding from where I'm coming from. The way all of you came forward and held my hand and said, no audio. There is a certain amount of empathy there because you realized I want to communicate to you and something was interrupting it. And that was amazing because I am therefore able to feel the empathy that you felt for me instantly. So you were listening not just to respond to my question, you were listening to help me reach out to you. That is active listening. Now, the content of the communication has to be accompanied by an emotion. It has to be positive or negative. Either, you know, it could be filled with irritation, anger. You pick on people because you're feeling sad or you're feeling angry or you're feeling annoyed, or it could be because you're positive and you want to share the happiness, you want to spread joy. That directly leads you to whether you inspire and motivate the other person. Okay, so who you talk to, what I talk to that person, and what happens to the other person when they get that meaning or the message, and what do they do after that? What do they do after they understand the meaning? That is the critical point where there is an inspiration or not. So that is effective communication, which no chat GPT, no artificial intelligence is going to replace you with. These are differentiators. This is the survival kit you need to have if you want to effectively communicate in future. All right, let's go to the next one.
बोलो हाँ कैसे ए खड़ी हो चल 50 दफा समझा ली तेरी माँ को जल्दी कर जल्दी कर कितनी बार समझाया तेरी माँ को स्कूल की जरूरत ना है ना वो मांगती है ना तू मांग अरे भाई साहब क्या है मास्टर क्या कर रहे हैं आप दिख नहीं रहा क्या कर रहा हूँ चल काम कर अपना तू भी चल
जोड़ के हमने जोड़ी अपनी टोली हाथी से डर गई चींटी की टोली जो हमने ठानी वो ना छोड़ी हाथी से डर गई चींटी की टोली जो हमने ठानी वो ना छोड़ी
हर बुरी जिद का इलाज है एक अच्छी जिद। दैनिक भास्कर, जिद करो दुनिया बदलो।
I hope all of you understood that. No, it is not education makes. All right, okay, Dr. Anu, it's wonderful that you got that message. Education makes everything impossible possible. No, the whole thing was actually there's this little child who's being dragged out by her father because he doesn't see the value of education for her. He feels that she should be working in the kitchen along with the mother, and the other children come and hold on to her. And because of their determination and their, they dig their heels in and they hold on to this little girl, the father gives in and she gets to go back to having her education. So, if you stand strong in what you believe, even small things can make a big difference, is what the message was about. So, as you see, therefore, everybody gets a different meaning out of the same communication. So, though they have used something, an idiom, children, yeah, together we can do. When you repeatedly see the same thing and it is accompanied by the audio, the advertisers are able to drive home the point. But in single one line of communication, even with those powerful visuals, sometimes we don't get the entire thing. So again, I want to repeat, when you are communicating, remember which are the things that we need to do. We need to have confidence. We should be clear. We should be able to enthuse the other person. We should have empathy. We should listen actively, and we should process the feedback. Now here, unfortunately, no communication is complete without feedback. So if I could see you, now I can see Nisi. Now I know that Nisi is getting a little tired. Her energy level is dropping a bit. I know when she is more interested. I can see from the expressions on her face how she's reacting to every bit of what is being shown over there, how she's reacted to the television commercials, because I can see her face. So I'm getting feedback from her instantaneously, non-verbally. If I could have seen all of because am I sharing meaning? Am I able to convey what I want to convey? Is what I was trying to do. So feedback is a very, very critical part of communication. And what does communication actually do? Every time we communicate, we are telling the other person who we are. Remember that. A child does not worry at all about how he or she communicates. The flowery language, being more impactful, sounding smart. No, it speaks its mind and it conveys what it wants because it comes from the point of who that child is. So always remember, your communication is an expression of who you really are. Why I'm saying that is because, okay, before we do this, I just want to come back to this. If you look at, I mentioned about confidence, I mentioned about empathy, I mentioned about inspiring people, about clarity. Now I want to break it down for you. When there are pauses in your communication, when you use words like and therefore, when I was going there and then, these kind of things, you are actually hedging for time. When you use sounds like okay, and so, and etc., etc., you are using fillers. When you don't have eye contact, what conveys is that there is a certain lack of confidence in the way you're communicating. The clarity is very, very dependent on the pace. Okay, I am given to speaking fast because we Malayalis tend to speak fast. I think it's because we pronounce all the letters in the words. We do not pace our words like English-speaking people, or for that matter, people from our mother tongue interference gets in between, and we tend to speak faster than the others. So pace becomes very important. That's why we kept asking you, am I speaking too fast? The volume at which I'm speaking. Like I said, if I were to say, please come here. No, I say come here, or I say come here. There is a difference in the tone and the volume in which I'm speaking. So it conveys different things. And when you ramble, then you're talking all over the place instead of being, Twitter taught us to speak in 120 words. TED taught us to speak one major idea in 18 minutes. We don't need more than 18 minutes to convey one major idea. So if we are concise, if we are clear on what we want to say, if there is a structure in our mind before we start speaking, when we are able to communicate better. Then the energy level, bring in stories. Instead of my narrating a story, I try to bring in television commercials, which will be more impactful because I don't have eye contact with you. And please use language which is inclusive. Um, if somebody is talking to you now, that's this I'm not able to demonstrate here because you were not talking to me, and I could not therefore interrupt you or cut you short. I couldn't encourage you to talk. But like if we said, are we able to do this together? Are we getting the meaning? I don't know how many times I said we instead of I or you. Then the communication, the sharing of communication becomes much, much more effective. Please remember this. These are the actually the criteria which decides whether you are confident. What is do you remember the words I told you? This is what it is: confidence, clarity, be concise, be empathic, listen actively, inspire, and what you feel is what you communicate. Remember that always. So this is what communication is. And I also want to tell you one more thing. When you start communicating, you actually start from the point of view, a point of being anxious. Like today, when I was to start my session at 7 o'clock, I need to wind up now. Can I get a grace time of 5 minutes for the time I lost with the commercial? Missy, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. I always, even if you are comfortable with your subject and you know who you're talking to, you still feel anxious. Oh my God, am I going to do okay? I'm not going to be able to see these participants. Will they will they travel the journey with me? Will they walk the path with me? Oh my God, will I be able to relate to them? Will they be able to understand what I'm saying? So that anxiety always kicks in. All of us go through this anxiety. Remember this. So don't let that bother you. I have some tricks which helps me beat anxiety. I've spelled it out over here. Try to be in this moment. See, I am right now in this moment. I'm not thinking about what you're going to talk about tomorrow. She's recording this and how is it going to come out? No, I'm just focused on what is happening right now, whether this transmission is okay, how many people are actually writing in the chat box, how many people are present. I'm focused on that. So what if I'm boring? That's who I am. It's all right. I have something to convey. I don't have to be the smartest person in the world to convey something valuable. I can be boring. This is an opportunity, actually. It's not a challenge. Now, if I see an opportunity, so when I ask you a question, see it as an opportunity to connect with someone, not as a challenge to come up with the smartest answer. It's not like a examination for you. So this, I try not to see any opportunity to communicate as a trial or an exam. I am actually being assessed by 183 of you, and you're going to tell me whether I've been able to communicate properly. If this session made any sense to you, if you understood anything from it, is there something that you believe in which has been shared? Is there something that you will be able to implement in your life? Is there a kit, communication kit that you have as a ready reckoner with you, which will help you going forwards? I don't know, but that is the opportunity. Then structure it. Structure in my head, why I put together this PPT. Actually, I did not have put together this PPT at all. I could have just spoken to you. I thought it'll help if we had a structure, because I can't hear somebody else also. Okay, so this is an opportunity for me to tell you what is the benefit of being able to communicate effectively. So if you're able to, you see the first advertiser vis-a-vis the second and the third advertiser. Look at the benefit of that communication. So if you want to communicate, now the benefit that you can have if you want to communicate with your mother, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your boss, your subordinates, your colleagues, there is a benefit at the end of it if you're able to share, build trust through your communication. Shared understanding always builds trust. So this is, so have that structure in your head. Okay, I'm going to start with this and I'm going to tell them this is the issue. And instead of getting into, suppose you come to me and say that, okay, there is no audio, I'm not able to see it. So what is there's an opportunity for me to now show you that communication gets impeded if there is no audio, but you can still communicate and meaning can still be conveyed. So use that opportunity. Narrate a story. People, all of us love listening to stories. So if you're able to give personal anecdotes, then it makes a lot of difference. Ask questions. Ask the other person, like now you are sitting in front of me. I can, again, I'm a little impeded by the medium that we are going through, but ask questions. Did you understand what I'm saying? What did you get out of the television commercial? Do you agree that artificial intelligence can be beaten by us because we have empathy and there are clear differentiators which they cannot catch up with? So you can ask questions, then all of you are traveling that journey with me. I know I'm speaking fast now. Listen. Now, this is the hard part. Active listening is really hard because I'll tell you why. We have something known as intrapersonal communication. Every word we hear, every visual we see triggers an internal process where we have a set of memories, just like an artificial intelligent app. It summons all those memories up, and we have certain associations with that particular thought, that person, the content, the meaning, and that kicks in. Okay, so we start reacting to that, and then we process the communication that is coming to us through that. Okay, so therefore, for example, this is my last slide. I will just take 2 minutes more. Suppose you see a dog which is lying on the roadside. You're walking past a street and there's a dog lying there. Somebody will want to say, oh, nice dog, and want to go to the dog, pet it. Somebody will want to buy a biscuit and feed the dog. Somebody will feel, oh my God, that dog is there. I can't show I'm scared. I have to walk past it. What if it bites me? But I don't want to show that I'm scared. And they will wait for somebody to come along and slowly slink past the dog, though the dog may not even be looking at them. Somebody might feel that, hey, there's a dog, it's likely to bite me, and then take a stone and chase the dog away. So all of us have different reactions to every trigger that comes to us based on our previous memories and associations. This happens in verbal communication also. So when we listen with, and we must be aware, when we are in the here and now, we will be aware of what is happening to us, what are the memories it's bringing in. So when my mother tells me that you've not attended class today, she could be coming from a point of view of, are you okay? Are you healthy? Are you all right? Are you happy? Or I could read it as, she always says, I don't study, so she's here to fight with me, and I may react to that. So look at how you listen and respond. It makes a world of difference. And as Rene Descartes said, this is what intrapersonal communication is. I think, and therefore I am. I am my thoughts, my belief systems and values. And therefore my communication process is embedded in who I am. And everything I communicate also talks about who I am. And with that, I want to conclude today's session. I've exceeded by a few minutes. I'm really sorry about that. I will leave you with a joke. Somewhere in 1990, I had, when I was much slimmer, I had shorter hair, and I had gone with my husband to Chennai. And we went to this Udupi restaurant, which is, I think it was Dasa Prakash or someplace, where so I pride myself on my knowledge of Tamil. Okay. So I had this Malayali friend with me and somebody who speaks Hindi, and the waiter came and I started speaking in Tamil to that person, saying, what do you have? So he listed out all these things, and I said, okay, I will have a masala dosha. Masala dosha kondu vaanga. For the other person, please bring an uttappam, and for the third person, idli vade. I said all this, so this waiter is looking at me and shaking his head continuously, and he's not responding. So I said, Ennacha, what happened? And he says, I speak no Hindi, Tamil only. He heard what I spoke in Tamil as Hindi. So look at the communication barrier. He didn't listen to anything I said. He was looking at my non-verbal communication, and he presumed I am from the north and that I'm speaking in Hindi. So I just want to leave you with that thought that communication is about the receiver. It is in the meaning. And definitely we are going to beat the artificial intelligence, any app, because we are genuine. We can think out of the box. We feel, we are authentic, and we learn. And when we learn, we will be 2 steps ahead of the artificial intelligence. Thank you. Once again, the light in me honors the light in me.
Ma'am, here's the first question. What are some common communication challenges that arise in AI-related projects, and how can they be effectively addressed?
Communication challenges in AI projects, I would assume that Who's asking this question? Can I just get the name of the person who's asking this question?
Ma'am,
I
we
wanted-
had it in our group. Yeah, we had.
All right. Okay,
It's
the
from
question. I am going by the premise that your question is about how you create a prompt, isn't it? How do you get the artificial intelligent app to respond to you in the right manner? Is that the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay, just like we have a structure in impactfully communicating to another person, every generative AI needs to be given the right kind of prompt. So again, the same things about being concise, clear, and using the right. I mean, it should not be. If you write a prompt which says, "I would like to have a poem which is related to rainfall, maybe in the Western Ghats, maybe somewhere near Nilgiris, maybe there would be some leopards which are so if you actually make it, if you ramble, your prompt rambles and it's not concise, an artificial intelligent app will not be able to process your question properly. So be concise in the way you raise your prompts, in the way you raise your questions to the artificial intelligence. Second thing is that AI, actually, you must understand, it goes through a humongous amount of data which is available, processes it, and gives you the answer based on your prompt. It cannot differentiate between fact and fiction. So if there are mischievous people putting wrong data there, and then there is also authentic data there, it really doesn't know how to differentiate between the two. So you need to have a certain level of expertise. You must be able to discern when ChatGPT or any GAI, GPT-4 throws that answer back at you. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for that.
Okay.
Shija has raised her hand. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Shija, are you there?
Shija Girish. Yes, Shija.
Okay, ma'am. Can we move on to the next question?
Okay, sure.
What strategies can organizations implement to foster a culture of effective communication amidst the integration of AI systems?
It's the integration of AI systems. Okay, now there are three questions in this single question. One is that when an AI system is brought into an organization, it normally replaces the person who was handling the job, isn't it? That's, suppose, what would you use an AI for? Are you talking about something like payroll, financing, that kind of system? Or are we talking about interaction with other employees or customer services or anything? I'm presuming it is about the latter. If that is the case, then you need employees who can supervise the AI, isn't it? So the organization therefore needs to foster an environment of trust, which builds confidence, understanding, the ability to take risks, because they must be able to think out of the box, be unexpectedly creative, like I mentioned in the presentation, upgrade and upskill themselves constantly so that they are one step ahead of the AI and they are able to supervise whatever the AI is throwing back at them. AI in an organization, an AI should complement and not really replace the human potential, ideally. So for them to complement each other, the human potential, that the human resource necessarily needs to have empathy, clarity, expertise in their area, ability to take risk, think out of the box, and therefore trust and open communication is a must. So they need to foster an atmosphere of trust and open communication and constant upgradation of knowledge.